So in the series of videos, we are talking about various standard functions. We have already talked about the first part where we actually talked about constant function as well as the identity function. In this one, I'm going to talk to you about more standard functions. So if you have not checked out our first part, go ahead and do that. And in this one, let's get started and see what we are going to discuss. The first thing that I'm going to start with is the polynomial function. Again, look at the name. So this is how you define it. You take any polynomial in X, this is going to represent a polynomial function. Now, what are these things like A1, A2, etc.? So let's see. N has to be a non-negative integer. Now, this part is non-negotiable. So make sure whenever you see any function of this form, you understand that N has to be a non-negative integer. And also, the constants you see here are called the coefficients of the polynomials. It's A1, A2, A0, etc. Look at this one. If you look at the powers of X, this is the highest power of X, which is having this non-zero coefficient, all right? Agree, and as you understand that it's going to be defined for each and every possible value of X, so the domain is R. Now, apart from these two things, I always ask you people to go ahead and see the graph. In this one, we don't have any specific graphs. It will actually depend on the polynomial function. If I take y equals to x, I'll definitely get a straight line. If I take y equals to x squared, I'm going to get a parabola. If I'm going to take y equals to x cubed, this is how this will look like similarly. So depending on the polynomial function, you will get the graph. Now there are specific things that you can draw, and sometimes we can also have to do curve tracing, which I'm going to discuss with you in later chapters, but this is all about polynomial function. The next one is rational function. Again, forget about everything. Just concentrate on the word rational. So suppose we are talking about rational numbers. So what did we do? After we learned about integers, we said that, okay, it's a quotient of two integers. Similarly, rational function is a quotient of two polynomials. Now, next think about, again, rational numbers. You know that the denominator is non-zero. Here also, you have the same kind of restriction, because every time you define something, don't forget that we are talking about functions, so it has to be defined. Let's take an example. Y equals to 1 by x. Now 1 is a polynomial, so a0 is actually 1. Other than that, you don't have any other things. X is also a polynomial, so this is a quotient. It's a rectangular hyperbola, and also see the 0 is not included because otherwise it won't be defined. So again, the graph of a rational number will also depend on Px and Qx. You don't have any general graph going on, but whenever you have the specific function, you can definitely draw the graph. The third one again is called the algebraic function. So this is actually constructed using algebraic operations. As I have told you repeatedly, you don't have to memorize them. Just look at the basic name and you will understand what we are talking about. So suppose I'm taking y equals to root x. This is one branch of the parabola. Take y equals to cube root of x. This is actually the inverse for y equals to x cube, etc. So this is how you can actually draw the graph. It will depend on the function. We don't have a standard graph unlike the previous ones. So that's it from this video. I hope you understand these three functions. So I hope in the next video we can talk about few more. So stay tuned.